What's up, y'all? So look, I got one last question for the night, right? I want to know, what is the tradition, what is the culture, what is the values that our women, Black American women, what is the values, tradition, and culture that they stand on in our society today in the United States? I want to know what are the values. Does somebody tell me that? Let me see if we can get an answer.
I want to say this, that I date Black women. I love them. I think they're beautiful. They're they're they are very open-minded, um, and a lot of other things. And what I've learned is that the culture, the values, the traditions of Black women is independence. That is what they teach their children, and that is what they value. That is the tradition they pass on. They pass on the tradition of go get your education, focus on yourself, be independent from men. You don't need a man. That you can, even if you have a child, you can raise a child by yourself. So you don't need a family. You don't need a man. You don't need to be dependent on a husband. You're independent. You're by yourself. Just be by yourself. It is the promotion, the praise of single mother culture. It is the propping up, the worshiping of independence, and that's what I see personally, um, and what I find a detriment. Because although I find Black women beautiful, they have been the hardest to break their shell. You know, their heart is always about independence. Their mindset is always independence. It's all about, you know what? They don't need you. They expect you to leave. They figured you will leave. So they will do everything themselves, which is all such a detriment, where you don't focus on finding a husband, thinking about other people, and creating a community. So I believe modern day Black women, modern day Black culture is the supporting and praising of independence and the destruction of family and community. So
Our sweaters.
I have heard, like, one of the things that guys do tell me is that they feel like, when I ask them, like, what pains them the most, one of the things that they said, besides accountability, women showing a lack of accountability, is that by and large, and I didn't know this before, but that men feel like women are, like, inherently ungrateful. That was, like, literally, like, what they said. Like, it was a focus group.
That.
I promise you, in that focus group, it took everything in me to not cry. Like, I promise you, I was so heartbroken. It was crazy. I was not expecting that to be the answer. I thought the answer was going to be like, they don't want to have sex. They don't have, like, all the things that society says. The ungratefulness. Yo, you know how painful that is? When you're busting your ass, trying to make somebody feel happy and feel good and so on and so forth, and you feel like they're just ungrateful. I felt so bad because I was like, okay, this is unsolvable. How do I solve this? Like, the best thing that I could say is,
I've learned that women are truly unappreciative. Because you gotta think, if a woman gets so much attention from men, men that DMs them, men that sends them money, men that buys them gifts, men that just gives them constant attention, of course they're not gonna care. They're not gonna find your efforts meaningless. They're not gonna find your efforts anything special. Even if you're their boyfriend, their husband, it won't matter, because in their mind, they think, so what? I could find the next person. The next man could do the same thing. It's easy to find a man. That's what women are, just so delusional. And they are a danger to themselves in that sense. That I've been there, where I literally got into debt to pay for a medical operation that saved my ex-girlfriend's eyes. She would have gone blind. But I went to debt, right? Heavy debt to pay for that medical procedure. And then she treats me like shit. And she says, those things are in the past. And that's just one thing I've done for her, right? But she said, those things are in the past. It's like, so it's like, I wonder if you would say, if you lost your sight, would that still be in the past for you? Would that not be meaningless to you? But I'm saying that it's just, men can just destroy themselves for a woman. And yet, they won't take that into consideration for the things that they may do in the future. They don't. It's like, because at the end of the day, if it's not you being a fool for her, it's not you being head over heels for her, it'll be some other man. So, for them, you're just another person. You're just another man that they're using. They may not even consciously think that, but that's how it is. Because they, like I said, when it comes to men, when it comes to the relationships with men, it's easy for women, and they get constant validation from men every day. So in their mind, you're nothing special. You're not going to pay for their bill, the next man will. You're not going to pay for a dinner date with them, the next man will. It's just, makes relationships really hard.
Looking for a $100,000 wedding?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
I have high standards, and I feel like I shouldn't lower them just because.
I have high standards, too. I went to a justice of the peace.
Okay.
Married 32 years. The biggest weddings are the shortest marriages, I swear. You know, Kim Kardashian, that dude, 72 days. Took her longer to pick out the dress than it did to be married to her. You know what I mean? You look at, that's just a party. You have that party with, like, on your 25th wedding anniversary, then you could spend that kind of money. $100,000, you're never gonna get married, honey. You know what I'm saying? He's
Yeah.
20, you know what I'm saying? That's the wrong goal. The goal is to have him, like, for 40 years.
Yeah.
Not to have one party.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on the kid thing, and I'm gonna fuss at him about that later. What concerns do you have about him? I understand that you feel like he's not faithful. What's bothering you in that regard?
I feel like every single week it's something new. Like, we'll be making progress, and then 3 weeks later it'll be another thing. He'll be,
Give me some examples.
like, for example, I caught him online commenting under women's pictures talking about some lit. What's so lit about a girl in a bikini? He said, oh, I do music with her, that's why I'm commenting on her stuff, it's networking. What does music have to do with her in a bikini is all I'm saying, talking about lit. Like, he's just very embarrassing.
But lit's pretty common, though, isn't it? It's not intimate or sexual. I mean, it's lit.
Yes, right.
It's not just that, though. It's like, it's heart eyes and in the DMs. It's like, it's more than that,
But y'all-
though. It's like...
She missing the concept of the picture, though. The picture had a dog in there that was brought back to life from animal cruelty. So I looked at the
okay.
situation like, that's lit. You took a dog that had his face almost ate off and brought it back to life, and you showing videos. I put lit. She get offended. She missed the concept. She saw the female in there, heels on, dress on, and she like, oh yeah, he trying.
Oh, yeah, she trying to get
holler
next
at
to
that.
her.
Yeah, he trying to
Yeah,
connect
yeah.
with that. So I'm like, but at the same time though, it's very like impatient moments with her though. Like, it be impatient moments with her.
I understand you woke up one day to find her yelling at a girl on your phone.
On my phone.
Explain. Tell me what happened.
Look, I got drunk that night. So I got drunk.
Full disclosure.
I didn't want to drive because drinking and driving is bad.
Yep.
So I spent the night on my friend's couch for like 6-7 hours. It was about 7 o'clock when I came in the morning time. So when I come in the morning, I fall right in the bed, collapse. Me, I don't hide my phone, ain't nothing to hide. I leave it on the floor. I don't know if I was dreaming, but I heard communications like, oh, why you calling my man? Da, da, da. I get up like, oh, she talking to the girl on the phone, and the girl like, it ain't your business why I'm calling. And she went from there, and I'm like, get my phone back, get my phone back. She like, oh, now you got these females calling your phone while you sleep or whatever. Who you talking to? Who is this person on your phone? I'm like, I rap with her. She's an artist of mine, you know? Like, I really do business with her.
Ms.
She
Phillips,
understand that.
do you remember what the incident we're talking about?
I do remember this
You
incident.
tell me your version of that.
I I saw in his recent calls a young lady, and I called her. Her name was, I'm not even going to say her name, but I called her, and basically she told me that it was none of my business. And
Why did you call her, though?
she was calling like 5 times, and it was early in the morning. He was already gone until 2 a.m. So she called like around 6 a.m. like 5 times, and I'm like, you had to have been hanging out with somebody the night before, because why is she calling you so many times in the morning? So I answered, and I'm like, okay, who are you? And she's like, oh, I'm an artist. Mind your business. I'm only talking.
You know, this is something why some people might not understand. Why do, you know, men in the manosphere talk about body count? And why do they think about, you know, younger women being attractive? It's because right now they only talk about the surface level of the conversation. But I think it's a deeper conversation where, let's say, if you're younger, less experience, with less body, you have less trauma. On average, right, the same woman who was, let's say, 20, and let's add more years to her, 35, same woman, but different ages in her life, there's always a higher chance that she gains more trauma as she ages. This is a thing where women who gain more bodies, gain more experience. Life just adds more trauma to her. You know, you get more heartbreaks, you get jaded, you just, you know, deal with more, so you become just more aggressive, more difficult to handle. Look at this girl right here, where I'm not saying that he's a bad guy or a good guy, because I don't know, but just from this, how she interacts with him, always questioning him, always thinking that he could be cheating, right? I'm not saying if he is or if he's not, but just from her alone, you could see that she has insecurities. She has trauma. So men in her past has hurt her so much that, well, now she doesn't trust the current man that she's with. So you think about this. You have to have been with at least more than 1 or 2 men to gain such a traumatic experience, such a traumatic feeling that you don't trust the man that you're choosing to be with right now. The man that you, I guess, supposedly want to marry. So yeah, you have to have been with quite a few men to gain that, you know, that trauma of distrust. And that's bodies, right? And she probably and through her age, she accumulated those bodies. So don't just think about, oh, men just want young girls to control. No. And men just want women with less bodies because it's, you know, whatever, you know. But no, it's a deeper conversation, because at the end of the day, it's attitude, it's personality. That's what it is.
Men should be concerned that women are initiating more than 70% of divorces today.
It's 80%, but you're absolutely right. Men should be concerned, and I believe they are. Marriage rates are the lowest on record since the 1970s. That's not by chance.
When a woman gets divorced, she risks long-term disproportionate declines in household income and standard of living.
I'll translate that bit. I can't spend this man's money anymore. Well, as much as I used to be able to do.
As well as a sharp increase in the risk of poverty.
I know, an increase of risk of poverty as opposed to actual poverty that men are experiencing, with the 90% homeless rate being men. The risk is much more important. I'm so sorry.
She also has a higher risk of losing her home.
Ignore the reality that it's a much higher risk for a man to lose his home if he splits up with his partner. Ignore that. The risk increases for a woman, and we should take note.
And lower chances of repartnering.
Lower chances of repartnering. What, compared to a man? Because I thought all men were hound dogs. Women get a lot of attention from men, to the point that they tell men to stop. Can't have it both ways.
But all of those risks are still better than being with you.
Oh, the pain. Yes, no, bollocks. Yeah, apparently increased risk is more important than actuality. So, I mean, there's a narrative going on these days about certain people always being the victim. I'm not going to say a word, but we know.
I'm saying the only reason a man would be insecure about a woman's body count, my friends, is because they're insecure that they're not going to be able to satisfy the woman as well as the other men in the body count.
Actually, I'd be more concerned about the fact that your oxytocin receptors have densified to the point where you can't effectively pair bond. I'd be more concerned with the abnormal levels of sexual discipline and inhibition that emotionally healthy women tend to exhibit. I'd be more concerned about your impaired judgment when it comes to selecting a mate. I'd be more concerned about the fact that you're so desperate for emotional validation that you will willfully give your body to anybody. Concerned about the fact that you don't even receive orgasms from most of the men that you've dealt with, because if you did, you would keep that guy around, seeing as how elusive female orgasms typically are. I'd be concerned about the fact that I'm dealing with an emotionally unhealthy woman who likely suffers from substance abuse and depression. Concerned about the emotional baggage. Concerned about a hidden STI due to your increased risk. Concerned that I just increased my chances of divorce by 30%. Concerned that I just maximized my chances of being cucked. Concerned there's no long-term benefits dealing with a promiscuous woman.